I can't like screw you up with the current setup that we have.
Oh yeah.
It's
See?
not as
You don't even know.
it's not as fun. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I guess we'll say that this is season 2 of Tyson Loves Cecile, since we're changing the like format of it.
Are we?
Yeah, it's gonna be on YouTube now.
Is it?
Yep.
What?
Because it's easier for
Nobody
me.
tells me.
I told you that.
Oh wait, it's not
I
gonna
told
be
you...
on iTunes and stuff
No.
anymore? Well, what's the point of putting it on YouTube? There are no images.
I will add something.
Okay.
I'll add our logo or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is all a surprise to me.
I told you this a few days ago.
This is how much I'm invested.
And you're the one who was desperate to keep doing it.
Okay. Well, so yeah, season 2. It has been like a whole year since we since we started.
Yeah, about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only been off like a month, really.
I guess.
We were lazy over the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we could go over stuff that we missed.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as if we didn't watch things.
Mindhunter was good.
Yeah. Glow season 3 was also good.
That kind of dipped off for me in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
but I started to like it more near the end,
Mm-hmm.
because after Debbie brought her stupid shit son to Las Vegas, and then she mellowed out quite considerably after that.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny, though. People always say, like, you want birth control? Just sit in a room with a child screaming for, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, all it needed was, like, a minute of it happening in the show to be like, yeah, no. We're good.
She's always just like, I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So It Chapter 2, I absolutely hated it. You...
okay, wow.
You,
I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do we watch? Have we been doing anything else?
I beat Control.
You're no longer in control.
I beat Blasphemous.
Yeah.
I defeated the Blasphemous at the end of Blasphemous.
Ooh.
What about you? You level up your racism, Cecily?
A little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, I haven't had time to read too much. I've been reading about food. Like, I've been reading some Michael Pollan books, and they're kind of boring. Gonna be honest. Like, Food Rules is simple enough because it's literally just him giving us, like, actual rules to think about, which is, like, don't eat anything that has more than 6 ingredients, or don't eat anything you don't recognize the ingredients of. You know, it's like...
So, basically,
it's kind of like a food purist.
So, basically, don't eat really anything, then.
Yeah, don't eat any of the shit you eat. Basically. And I'm reading Omnivore's Dilemma right now, and it's, you know, the first chapter is about corn, and how it's everywhere, and that's not super exciting to read.
Yeah.
I mean, I started reading The Way of Kata, and because studying for my Sandan, and it's like, it's pretty good. It's pretty cool to learn about stuff.
Corn, that music is a religion. It's just...
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's just always interesting to learn about the sort of ways that karate has adapted and sometimes become less lethal because of the fact that it was really standardized when it was first taught to kids, because obviously the principles of, like, the moves they did that would kill and maim people, they didn't teach them to children, so that's why some of our moves don't, like, in kata, they don't look as lethal as they used to, because, you know, we weren't taught that way. And, like, when you realize some of the kata that you learn are, like, they're closed hand, but they're supposed to be open hand, because that makes it more deadly, you're like, whoa. Cool.
I mean, I feel like that first and foremost, karate should be about killing people.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, like, because it, you know, was something that was taught to, like, children and stuff, it's like, then that kind of went away. So
God.
You have to get to a certain level in your training to be like, oh yeah, you know.
PTA ruined karate.
Yeah.
They were like, no Pokemon cords,
Mm-hmm.
no Pokemon cards, no Pokemon games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also like, it gives you the really basic elements of self-defense, but really, it should start with the self-defense aspect if you're gonna be deadly, you know.
I mean, the the best way to protect yourself is to kill the other guy first.
Yeah.
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 I think that was Harriet Tubman who said that.
No, I mean, I remember one of the first things my sensei ever taught me was, like, you know, the best self-defense is not to be there. So obviously, like, you just have to be aware of things.
The next best, go for the eyes.
Yeah.
They are the groin of the head.
Yeah, no, okay, so, like, we started watching The Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah.
And there was a scene
Oh
in that first episode where Danny McBride's character has a Kubaton.
Yep.
And, like, you laughed for a whole minute straight.
It's a thing that is so specific to us.
Yeah, no, I mean, because it's like, it's a keychain weapon. And I've had it on my keychain, I want to say at least 5 years now.
Yeah.
And you've always, like, you haven't given me crap for it, but you've always, like, been like, why is this on your keys?
Your keychain is insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's just really funny because the second that was on there, you started laughing, and I was like, oh, this makes me feel lame, because he was like, oh, I bought it at a gas station. So then him and all these, like,
there's a
white middle-aged men are like...
I think there was a black guy, too.
Well, but they end up all just, like, standing there holding their Kubatons, so they all went to the gas station to get one, and then you're like, oh... But then they use it and it works, and you're like, okay, it's not as bad.
I mean, it's still like a metal stick.
Yeah,
you can.
I know, but it made me feel lame. It was like, okay, you can buy it at a gas station.
Well, I mean, there's a subreddit called Mall Ninja Shit, which is like, I mean, it used to be in the mall in Wenatchee, but it was
like the kind of like where they sell weapons.
Yeah,
okay.
the shitty like like swords, you know, that aren't meant to really
one of my
use.
mom's exes has a whole bunch of those kinds of
one
things.
Of your
and
moms?
It's like one of her exes. Yeah.
It was just funny you said one of my moms.
Yeah. No, but it's like, yeah, you would.
It's like they wear a cross around their neck, but it like the bottom pulls out and it's a knife. There was a guy in One Piece that had that. It was really cool, actually.
I know, but it just makes you feel lame because you're like, I was trained to use this thing, like.
What, a Kubaton?
Yeah.
They in that show they did not use it how I imagined it would be used.
That's how you could use it, though.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure you could jab people with it. It seems a lot. I mean, at least for yours, because it's, let's face it, basically a flail. Your keychain is like that you'd swing it by the ring. Is how I always thought.
Well, if you're not using it as part of your keys, then it becomes something that that could be a stabbing implement. But if it's on your keys, then yeah, you use it as a flail one end and strike the other. I
mean, the like pink one was sharp though, which seemed like it would be a better weapon.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, if you're around karate people, like, all of them have Kubatons on their keychains, and, like, some of them have them with the pointed ends, and you're like, okay, that's to stab somebody.
I mean, I feel like there's a point where it just is like, this is not self-defense.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's, that was something else that was in the way of kata that was, like, obviously, as martial artists, you kind of have to be more careful, just because...
if you kill someone, you go to jail.
Well, not just that, but, like, there is a certain level where it's not self-defense anymore, you know, where it's, like, if you're trained to hit somebody until they're down, you know, but you have the training, like, we have the training, then it's, like, is it considered self-defense, or is it you being excessive, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, that's why, what is it? One of the things I read was, like, one of the old masters was saying, like, in karate there are no first strikes, you know, because it's, like, you shouldn't be the one to start a fight, because you have to be aware of the ramifications if you get in a fight.
That sounds like a guy who is really insecure about losing a fight.
No, I mean, just the way they used to, like, challenge each other, you know, it would be, like, you'd have somebody come into town and challenge the sensei. And, like, if they beat the sensei, they were the new sensei.
Yeah.
And it's
well,
like,
I mean,
okay.
because it wasn't about, like, kata then. It was about, like, who can kick the most ass.
No, I mean, I like the explanation of kata because it was saying, like, you know, the old masters didn't want to reveal the secrets to just anybody. You know, like, karate became mainstream after it came here from the States, or to the States after World War II, because a lot of the soldiers overseas had started training in dojos, and, like... Those masters weren't just going to start giving away those secrets because that was that was their business. That was, their technique. And so they weren't just going to give it up. And all of the secrets for the different kinds of styles are embedded in kata. You just have to be able to find them, you know, to recognize like this is a punch right now, but this is probably an open hand technique that was a lot more deadly back then. So I like that as like a kata is the embodiment of a style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Like the total concentration water breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we talk about Demon Slayer now?
Sure.
Since the season ended yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And
When's the next season coming up?
I have no idea.
Okay.
And I also don't know about that movie.
Oh.
You know, that was announced.
Yeah.
Which just seems real shitty.
Why?
Because it's like that movie is apparently going to cover the next story arc. And also I have no idea how we will ever be able to watch that.
Yeah. That is weird. That seems weird.
I guess it will be one of those things where we're like, well, you literally won't take my money, so I guess I'll pirate it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, I'll pay you money to watch it on a service.
Yeah.
If not, I guess I'll watch a sub version online for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Demon Slayer, like now that the season's over, you only watched, I guess you've seen over half of the season.
Yeah, no, I think I want to say I started watching around episode 8 or 10 or something like that. I think it was
episode 8-ish.
Yeah, and so I had seen like part of the first episode because you were watching it and you wanted me to watch it and I said no, and I ended up like creeping on a little bit anyway. But I was like, it's okay. I don't need all this context. And then I just came back later and started watching it with you.
The first few episodes are pretty easy to explain.
Yeah.
It's just, there's cool moments that are nice to see.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing I missed out on was, like, I just didn't see his training.
The training's cool.
Yeah.
Also, the final selection is cool, too.
Yeah, so, I mean, Tanjiro's really nice, though.
Tanjiro's a good boy.
Yeah.
I really like Tanjiro. I remember watching this video where it was sort of talking about how, like, the shonen protagonists have kind of changed over the years. That, like, Tanjiro's way smarter than, like, Luffy or, like, Goku or something.
Yeah.
You know? He's, his motivation's a lot more complex, too. You know, like, that he wants to, turn his sister back into a human. And, but, like, there's another series called My Hero Academia that, like, is pretty popular. Like, even though I own like 16 volumes of it, I think I've realized I actually just don't like it.
Okay.
But like, because everyone's like the main character in that, God, he is such a wiener. It's like Tanjiro's kind of a wiener too, but like he really like mans up when he needs to though.
Yeah.
Like
No, I think that's something if we're talking about you know, sort of going in line with things like One Piece, one of the things that Tanjiro reminds me of with Luffy is at least that he's always like ready to add more friends.
Oh yeah.
That he's always just like, you can do it, I believe in you, and it's so adorable. Because it's like he said goodbye to all the characters that were helping him like recuperate and stuff like that, and it was just really funny that, you know, screen time with them was like 2 minutes in that last episode, but each one like made a difference. You know, that it was like he just probably changed their life forever, and he just interacted with them and said like, I believe in you, and that was enough, and that was really sweet.
The like training arcs in like manga and stuff are kind of hard to do. Like or at least like in the old days where it was like in Dragon Ball, where like several episodes were Goku climbing a tower, which is like it was training for him, you know.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like no real plot progression, just like ways to justify Goku having a power up, you know.
Yeah.
And like Tanjiro's training, like it's over like his main training with Orokodaki was over like 2 episodes, and It was interesting, and, you know, it did kind of flesh out the world a little bit, because we learned about the breathing styles in that. And then, like, I guess the last few episodes were also kind of a training arc, too, where Tanjiro learned about the total concentration constant technique.
I know, it's really inspiring. I'm like, I want to go do kata right now.
I mean, if kata let you run for hours and not get tired, I'd certainly do it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he had to... Like, now that I think about it, I don't know if they ever really showed Tanjiro learning much about how to use the water breathing in the first place.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was kind of just like, oh, this thing you already know, just do that all the time, and and you just see, like, it takes a toll on his body because he's exhausted, and the different ways he has to sort of, like, manage to keep doing it, that he asks the girls to, like, beat him up at night, so he's like, ready?
It's weird that I didn't think about that, because it seems like a pretty obvious power-up for the main characters is to learn how to use that constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like in Dragon Ball, like when they first started using Super Saiyan, it was like it was like a big temporary boost that you're then really tired from using, but then Goku was like, but what if we do it, what if we maintain this for like weeks so it balances out? You know, and it's like, it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
But the breathing techniques in Demon Slayer almost seem kind of realistic.
Yeah.
You know, it's a shame they're not real.
No, I mean, the funny thing too about it is that, like, all this time we'd been watching the episodes, and then I told you, like, well, they say kata all the time, and you were like, I had never heard it, and then you couldn't stop hearing it once I'd said it. I was like, yeah, I hear the word kata all the time in that.
Like, I'll just look up scenes from episode 19, which is like the best episode, the Hinokami Kagura episode. Like, it's just really cool when Tanjiro, like, he's like, I'll unleash the most powerful final form, and he's like, Mizukokyu Juno Kata, and then the like water effects turn into a dragon.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And watching it again, I noticed that when he was cutting through the threads, that the dragon's like biting the threads as he does it. Awesome.
No, I thought it was, it was cool too, because, like, Tomioka comes later, and it's, like, you see his total concentration, and, like, the images that are playing out when that's happening are really interesting, because it looks like it was just, like, him and, like, whiteness around him.
Yeah.
And then that demon, like, tried to attack him, and it, like, didn't do anything, and it was, like, that looks really cool.
That, the 11th form, that was weird, because, like, that seemed magical.
Yeah.
That he apparently did nothing, and it stopped the attack. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this in another episode.
No, I mean, it's really cool too, because it's like, we had talked about it, or I think we just in conversations were talking about the fact that a lot of the demon hunters don't seem to, or demon slayers don't know about the Hashiras.
Yeah.
And so for him to see Tomioka and then be like, wait, what? Like, there's this level that is possible. I mean, it kind of blows your mind.
That's the thing in, like, I love in these kinds of shows where it's like, they made a point in the previous episode for Tanjiro to say, time to unleash the final form, form 10, you know, and then Tomioka shows up and he's like, 11th form. Yeah. You know, and it's like
beat that.
it's a really obvious way to like show that this guy's a step better.
Yeah,
you know,
it was really cool though.
I love the insane, like, the amount of like rando demon slayers that Rui killed, and the insane teeth that Tanjiro pulled to not even kill him.
Yeah,
and then Tomioka does it so easily.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. That whole arc on the mountain was such a great story. When Inosuke gets a lot more development there, that he stops being kind of a bully, and we see him that he was the only one who failed to kill any demons. Even Zenitsu killed one.
Yeah, and then like coming back from it, he was kind of depressed, because it's like, you know, even Zenitsu, who's like terrified of demons, you know, and is always crying about stuff, like even he managed to kill one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Demon Slayer probably gonna be my anime of the year. And I can't unless like Fire Force like really gets really rad. But I think I'm past where the season will go in the manga. It's good, but I don't think it's as good as Demon Slayer. But
oh yeah, Disenchantment season 2 is up.
Oh yeah.
I forgot to mention that before.
I saw it on Netflix last night.
Yeah.
I guess we won't do like a full episode on Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on Demon Slayer?
I think
Cecily?
it's adorable. Like, it just... Tanjiro makes me so happy because I'm like, I want to be that kind of person that, like, just walks into the room and, like, I love you, good job, I believe in you, kind of thing. Like, that's awesome.
the world, like, I think, like, the appeal of Demon Slayer is, like, obviously, like, the fights are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fist fight between Tanjiro and Inosuke, do you remember that?
I think so.
Like, watching that again, geez, the choreography is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like the appeal of, like, One Piece is, like, seeing the world develop, you know, like, the exploration of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are deep characters, but, like, that's not really, like, the appeal of One Piece a lot, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like seeing the world develop, but, like, in Demon Slayer, there are really strong individual characters.
Yeah, and I think they follow the sort of anime tropes well, while still, you know, sort of being original because, you know, Inosuke's not completely unheard of. You know, there are other, like, stubborn characters and things that are always proven wrong somehow.
He's kind of like Naruto.
Well, and it really plays on their weaknesses too, because Zenitsu, like, is obsessed with girls, so even then when they're, like, training them, they're like, oh wait, you mean you get to play tag with girls all day, Tanjiro? I'm gonna train now.
I like it when he's like, you get to touch their hands.
Yeah.
You know?
And Inosuke, too, is like, well, I know, you know, it's hard for you. And he's like, what? It's not hard for me. Let me do it. You know?
Yeah. It was, like, I don't know if it was intentional for us to... Because I think we both really disliked Shinobu when we first got to see her. Kocho.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, anyone attacking Nezuko automatically makes me hate them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But... I guess because she really didn't understand the situation.
Yeah.
You know, and although I still think it was pretty fucked up that she was gonna kill Tomioka.
Yeah.
But like, she really developed too. That I like her a lot now. She, especially that she was the one Hashira who helped them.
Yeah.
Like, learn to use the constant breathing. Man, the wind guy though, he is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with him.
I know it is very anime too, that they all had their own, like, all their own sort of thing that was their personality kind of thing, you know. And like, one of that's not flamboyant enough.
I like him, the sound guy.
Yeah.
He and the love girl are my favorites, I think.
I like the mist guy. He was cool.
Yeah, or I like Snake Guy too.
Yeah.
Snake Guy's cool looking. They're all cool looking.
Yeah.
It's the wind guy's really cool looking. He's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like fun crazy. He's like serial killer crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to figure out some way to see that movie. Maybe
I mean, I'd so much rather it were just another season.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like you're just adding extra steps.
I was reading on the because I'm making an effort to go through the manga. Like, I was reading some today, but like, from what I looked at the discussion on Reddit, and people seemed really excited for the movie because apparently this arc's not very long. But then they were like, with a movie budget though,
yeah,
it'll be amazing. And I guess I'm kind of thinking like, that like the mountain arc was probably the best story arc in the show so far, don't you think?
Yeah.
And that was 6 episodes maybe. And that was really good. If the train is even shorter and has like a film level budget, that'll probably be really cool.
Yeah.
Especially if they do some like crazy like infinite space stuff inside the train like they did in that episode.
I just don't see why they couldn't do the season like still with a film budget, you know, and just make it awesome anyway.
I guess because it's like, we're gonna condense this into 2 hours with the same budget as an entire season of the show.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean, the last episode was really good because,
oh my god,
because it had, what's his name, Kibutsuji?
Muzan Kibutsuji.
And it was like, oh, he
he's a girl for some reason.
The leader of the Demon Slayers had said, like, okay, you guys have to kill one of the 12 Kazuki, and then...
Oh, yeah.
And then he just killed the lower 6.
Well,
or the lower 5 that were left.
Well, he killed 4 of the 5.
Yeah.
And then he let that one go.
And it's like, okay, so you just eliminated like a quarter of the competition then.
That scene was really well done.
Yeah.
Like, when the one guy thinks like this is crazy, and then Kibutsuji says like what's crazy, and we realize that he can read their minds.
Yeah, like that really should have been obvious, dude.
And it's like, well, I mean, because I had the same thought that guy had, where it's like he's just doing this to be a sadist.
Yeah.
He's already decided to kill all of them.
Yeah.
Them pleading has nothing to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was, what a great villain scene for this guy that really hasn't shown up very much.
Yeah.
And also, he was kind of a sexy lady in that scene for some reason.
Well, I mean, it's funny, too, because it's like, they just proved him right about why they didn't deserve to be part of the 12, because he was like, none of you have tried to do better, like, you're part of the 12, but none of you have ascended further, and it's like, that wasn't the end goal, like, this was just the beginning of your potential, and you all just stopped, and it was like, one of them is like, okay, I'll just run now. And it's like, okay, you're just proving the point then that you're not willing to fight.
That guy was probably the smartest, though.
I know, but he in Kibutsuji's mind, he's probably like, okay, well then, yeah, you're just proving my point that you're not ready, that you don't deserve this, you know?
There was a comment that I saw where somebody said, like, if they all ganged up on one Hashira, they'd probably be able to win.
Yeah.
But then somebody was like, but the demons have crazy egos. Mm-hmm. They would never do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I feel like I can make predictions of what's going to happen based on just, like, the fact that he gave that order to the one left and was like, you have to kill Hashiras and the Demon Slayers, you know, and it's like, okay, so he's probably gonna, like, kill the Flame Hashira and then, you know, also go after, or start going after Tanjiro and then realize, like, oh, I can't get him, but I can get a Hashira, you know.
That one also, I'm certain is stronger than Rui also. Mm-hmm. Even if is it a girl? I can't tell.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
It looked like they had boobs, but the one other demon called him he. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is a guy. I don't know. But Kibutsuji gave them some of his blood, which we know makes the demon stronger. And
they were like, "I'll give you more blood if you do this."
Yeah. Although we've seen, like, because I remember. Or you might think, like, why doesn't he just give them a bunch of his blood? Because if he gives them too much, then they melt.
Yeah.
You might have seen that scene when he gave a guy a bunch of blood and the guy just melted.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I guess maybe now we should be done with Demon Slayer.
Yeah. It was really good, though.
I fucking love it. A dub's coming out soon. I'd like to watch the dub again. That might be good, because you haven't seen, like, the first 9 episodes.
Yeah.
I guess,
What else have we watched? Vinland Saga?
Yeah, Vinland Saga continues to be good. Mm-hmm. They're about halfway. I think they're in volume 2 right now. I know. Mm-hmm. The season's about half over, I would say.
It's really good so far, though.
Yeah, Vinland Saga's. I always thought, like, this will kind of fill that hole that Game of Thrones left.
Yeah.
Are you feeling that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankfully this isn't one of those things where because Game of Thrones, I think a lot of people were just expecting to be disappointed, and it's like, okay, yeah, you proved us right.
Yeah.
I don't think Vinland Saga is gonna do that.
Oh, I mean, I'm not current on the manga, but where I am, it's still good.
Yeah.
It's, I remember saying on the podcast before, it's one of my top 5 mangas. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
I mean, I still just love that, like, Torfinn's just, like, no shoulders, just chips.
I think the reason why I like Ashalad so much is because he really is kind of the main character of the first major arc. Like, think about this latest episode. Torfinn's not even in it until, like, the last few minutes.
I was like, is Torfinn even with them?
Yeah, he's around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Ashalad's, like, crazy efforts to keep the group together are what I really like about the England storyline.
Well, no, plus, like, it's not just that. Like, this last episode, I really thought it was good because Ashalad's talking with one of the leaders of Wales, like, a part of it, and the guy's like, well, that other kid doesn't look like a prince, you know? He doesn't look like he'll be king one day, and he was like, well, he comes from a good he has, you know, good family, good blood or something, and like the image of Thorfinn pops in his mind, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. He know. Well, I mean, as I said, Thorfinn is the heir to the Jomsvikings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that in itself doesn't mean that he'll be a ruler per se. Like, he wouldn't be king.
I mean.
Yeah.
A lord or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
It's. I mean, I don't know if Thorfinn even really knows that or cares.
Yeah.
But I should, because the new volume's coming out in November. I should read back over the last few.
I'm really jamming on that intro
Saga.
song. It's like so full of angst.
I love it when I will say, like, Cecile, will you watch JoJo with me? Cecile, will you watch Demon Slayer with me? Will you watch Vinland Saga? Then you say, can we watch JoJo?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It makes me so happy.
You're like, she's the one.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Oh, only kind of? We're getting married in a month. Only kind of.
No, I mean, because I don't want to, I hesitate to use the word perfect,
yeah.
You know, but it's like, that I like it that you like horror movies and stuff too.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm cool.
We gotta watch.
Can confirm.
I mean, we should watch, I already watched the first episode, but we should watch the new of Cabaneri.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, never much cared for the cabane. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Go watch Skinheads from Maine. You can probably find it on YouTube. I guess should we talk about
our thing?
Our main discussion.
Yeah. This is Tyson Loves Cecile, Last Blood.
I think it came out last week, didn't we?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. We saw Rambo Last Blood. Can't wait for Last Blood Part 2, which may happen.
Tyson, what's your history with Rambo?
It's all tied to you.
Yeah.
as is my history of Rocky.
Yeah.
Because you I think you brought over First Blood, I think, to my house and we watched it. I'm pretty sure. First Blood, a movie that shows how insane Rambo's change has been over the years.
For real.
That I mean, I wouldn't call him like a normal guy in First Blood, but like much more than like the human paper shredder that he is in like Rambo and in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like he only kills one guy in the first movie, and that was an accident. I mean, he hurts guys a lot in that, but like it's weird the body count in those. You know, like the first movie is like it really shows like Rambo's that it's semi-realistic of like people returning from Vietnam. You know, like I think that's why that movie's so well regarded because it's a lot more down to earth than the other ones.
Yeah, no, I mean all the other ones I think act more as a catharsis, really. I mean the first one, like, certainly there are things in it that make you connect more emotionally with him, but the rest of them are like emotionally connecting for the audience, because it's like, okay, well, a lot of people were affected by the fact that there were still people left behind. And so, you know, to have Rambo go over there and like take care of it, you're like, okay, that's cool. That makes me feel better, you know. And the same thing like with conflict in Burma and like with the Mexican cartel, you're like, okay, well, this is really cathartic then if he's killing all of these people that probably deserve it.
A thing that I feel like only one of the Rambo movies has ever done well is had a good villain, which is the first movie. Yeah. The sheriff is the only good bad guy in any of these movies because he's so detestable and he's in it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Every time he talks, you're just like, I hate you. I
mean, because like I guess, like, Charles Napier's character in the second movie is the bad guy. The radio room guy. And then there was, like, the Russian general in the third movie, the guy with the helicopter, right? Yeah. And then it was, like, the Burmese commando guy in the... But did he even speak ever?
Not really.
Yeah.
Like, other people did.
And then fucking Jon Snow in this one. Yeah. You know? Like, I guess your history with Rambo, Cecile?
Well.
Oh boy. I actually don't know how you got into these movies.
I don't know either, honestly. Like, I think my mom must have watched them, and at a certain point, I just like picked up on it and kept watching them, and I just had the series, and it's one of those things that I watch at the end of a quarter or something. If I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to relax, I'll just watch a whole bunch of Rambo movies or the Rocky movies or Lord of the Rings or something like something that is a long journey that you're like, I'm gonna cry a little bit and it's gonna be fine.
A thing that like I think with these movies is that like they're not especially good, I would say. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess I'm comparing them to like sort of more air quotes sophisticated action movies, something like The Raid or like the John Wick movies, where it's like there's a lot of choreography, because there's really not in the Rambo movies.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talked briefly about it with John Wick 3 and that the justifications are getting lighter and lighter, you know? And it's like, that's the natural progression with a lot of action movies. The same is true for Rambo, that it's like, I mean, obviously this started in a completely different tone, and now it's like, in the last Rambo we had, like, flashbacks of Trapman saying things to him, and it's like, yeah, you're putting that in there because there has to be some sort of reminder of like who you were before.
Yeah.
But really, like, any purpose of like how you started out and what you are now, there's not a really big connection.
It's like, it's weird because like Rambo started out as like I guess I'll say John Wick because they're kind of similar characters a little bit, and now he's basically like Jason Voorhees.
I will say though, like, I feel like this movie did that well, even though obviously the justification is light. What it has done over the years is show how much Rambo is disillusioned with the world. Like, he is very disheartened with the kind of people that live in our world, you know. I mean, it's really sad that he you know, he has his quote unquote niece, and she's out there saying like the world is a great place, and she is proven very wrong in this instance, and it's like it only confirms what he knew, which is that people can be absolutely horrible to each other.
It was weird because he seemed to be a lot more okay than I thought he would be. Like, I am kind of angry a little bit that we never got to see his dad.
Yeah.
Who...
I know, I was like, that last movie was supposed to be the end of it. Like, it was supposed to be like, okay, he went home, and now he's fine.
Well, I mean, because I always wanted to see Rambo's parents.
Yeah.
You know? Like, especially since at the end of Rambo, they make a point to show that mailbox.
Yeah.
And I guess, though, his dad would be like 100 or something.
I know, I was like, did his dad die, and then he just, invited other people to live there? Or, I don't even know.
I figured the old Mexican lady was like a worker on the farm.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That was my thought.
Yeah, no, because we start out with like this woman and her granddaughter, I want to say.
It must be Gabrielle.
Yeah, and so it's like Rambo is acting as a sort of uncle, having known her since she was a child. It says he's been there at least 10 years.
Well, I mean, Rambo came out in 2008, I believe, and so it must have been 10 years-ish.
Yeah.
Assuming it's gone in real time.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think Rambo, he was like 18 when he went into Vietnam, and when he came back out, he was in his 20s, I want to say mid-20s, and so he was, I think in the last movie, he was like 50-something.
I think Rambo is like the same age as Stallone or something.
No, but what I mean is, like, I think now then Rambo is something like in his 60s or 70s.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And so like she's about to go off to college, and but we find out, like, I guess her father left her and her mother when she was a child, so she wants to go to Mexico and ask him, like, why did he do that? And Rambo's like, well, he was an asshole. Don't dig into it any further, you know. Let me tell you, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And it's that progresses really quickly.
I feel like that was kind of a pretty weak justification for getting her to Mexico.
Yeah.
Because, like, especially when she just goes there and then, like, he's just like, I always hated you.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this guy's a real piece of crap.
I gotta say, like, I don't know if you noticed, but did his voice seem kind of out of sync?
I don't know.
When he talked?
I don't know.
Because I was like, I wonder if they had to dub him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, though, like, the dad's not unbelievable. There are people... It's just confirming what Rambo said, which is, like, he's a bad guy. There's no reason that's gonna, like, make it better, you know? Some people are just bad people.
It's weird how, like, to me, like, the whole, basically, plot of this movie revolves around her being too upset to drive home that night. Mm-hmm. So then she ends up getting captured.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was like, dude, this friend, though, like, what did she get out of this, you know?
I assume she got paid.
Yeah, I was like, that's fucked up, though.
That she sells Gabrielle to the cartel as a sex slave, apparently.
Yeah.
To Mexican Jon Snow.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me you didn't think it looked like Kit Harington.
He did, yeah, he looked like him with a tan.
Because, like, Because he had both of the hairstyles he had in this movie were Jon Snow's hairstyles. He had season 1 through 5 Jon Snow, and then season 8 Jon Snow's hair with the little ponytail on top. It was,
yeah. No, I mean it's really sad though, because it's like part of me was like, well, I hope then he just goes to get her and he saves her in time.
Yeah.
But it's like, but that's not how Rambo movies work.
I'm gonna say that was unnecessarily grim to have her die.
Yeah.
Especially after he saved her, and then she just dies in the car.
But honestly, like, that's why I said I think these kinds of movies have a different emotional release than the first two, because, really because things can be so horrible that you don't really think about them. Like, I don't think a lot of people come out of the cartel and survive. You know?
Well, yeah, I know, but
so it's like, it's realistic that they would have used her up so quickly, and like,
it had been 4 days.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know how serious shit gets, but it, like, I have heard how horrible the cartels can be. So it's like,
I mean, yeah, I know. I'm not saying they're not.
Yeah.
What I mean though is, like, I think her living would have been better.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. Part of me was like, I want her to live, and like, he kind of like shows her the ropes, and
well, I mean, like, here's what I'm gonna call a new segment: Armchair Script Doctor, Tyson's Armchair Script Doctor segment.
Yeah,
where I improve Rambo Last Blood. Okay, so here's how it goes: before Rambo saves her, and you know he killed a bunch of guys in the brothel too, you know, with a hammer.
Yeah,
which honestly that was probably my favorite scene.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me a lot of Old Boy.
Yeah.
But, like, I also like that it was a tracking shot. That was cool. So Rambo saves her, heads back to the States. And so then here's how it goes. The Martinez brothers had his driver's license, so they know where he lives. They're going to know it was him because he came to save her. And so then, like, they're gearing up to head out to Arizona to get him, you know. And then the news reporter chick that helps Rambo notices that and warns him. So then he gets to prepare all the shit for when they get there. So here's, you know, a way I think this would be better, you know. Because it's crazy to me that he goes there, kills the one brother, and then says, like, come on and get it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so weird.
No, but it's actually very Rambo, though. Because it's like, he is all about, like, the tactical offense there. That it's like, he knows that it has to be in his ground. You know, that it's like he would purposely lure them because he knows his area. Well, he can control the outcome. Well,
yeah, I mean, see, this is what I mean though. It doesn't really change how it goes. It just changes why it happens.
Yeah, I guess.
It just seems this plan has a lot of moving parts. Rambo has to he has to break in there anyway. He killed a bunch of guys doing that, and then cut a guy's, like, did you think about it? He got through the border with a severed head in his car.
Yep.
And then why did he dump it on the road?
Well, because they'd find it.
Did they?
They do that.
I know, but I'm sure an animal would have grabbed the head. Nah. I don't think they. Regardless, we never saw them find the head.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's also adding insult to injury because it's not just then that, like, the police knew how the brother died, the reporters knew. It was like, okay, so somebody's gonna find this head and people are gonna be like, oh shit, whoever killed them, like, grabbed his head and then dropped it on the road like it was nothing.
I'm willing to bet nobody ever found that head.
Hey, we don't know.
We never saw it.
I know.
I'm certain, like, a coyote or something.
No, I think people found it and they were like, ooh. And then
they wouldn't know who it was.
Yes, they would.
It's kind of weird to me. Well, like, a thing that I am kind of disappointed in this is, like, Rambo's never been in, like, an urban environment. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this will be cool seeing, like, urban Rambo, but they don't.
You mean rural?
No, like, he, you know, because, like, when he was in the city,
yeah,
you know, in the streets and stuff, there's never been a Rambo movie in, like...
Well, yeah, because he would be arrested again.
Not in Mexico.
He might.
I mean, look, he doesn't have to be, is my point. Like, I was kind of hyped for, like, urban Rambo.
Yeah.
And, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of things where it was like, this might make sense because it's Rambo, but it also might just be practical because it's Stallone and he's older.
Built like a fucking truck.
I know, for real. No, but the fact that he gets to Mexico when he's, like, first looking for Gabrielle and, like, you know, he finds like, he knows what house he's supposed to look for.
Yeah.
And so he's on his way and all the men are following him and it's like, he doesn't really fight back. And so you're like, okay, well, that might just be because it's, like, too early in the story for him to start, like, tearing heads off.
Yeah.
But it also is probably because it's, like, tactically he knows there's no way out of it. And it's also just because Stallone is, like, a lot older, so he can't just start, like, doing all this stuff and doing it the entire movie.
I mean, I was hoping that there'd be, like, a chase or something.
Yeah.
I
don't think he can do a lot of the running anymore.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, stuntmen exist.
I know.
It's... I don't think it would be that hard to make someone up to look like Stallone.
You don't even know.
He looks like his face is made of clay. It's what? He's not a handsome man.
He's been punched a lot.
He's not a handsome man.
He's been punched a lot, though. He has such sad eyes. I love him because I just love the Rocky and the Rambo movies, man.
Do you know the movie Stop or My Mom Will Shoot? Do you know that movie with Stallone?
No.
I think it's like...
Is that the one with Sophia from Gilmore Girls? Okay. Or
no,
not Gilmore Girls. Golden Girls.
Yeah, Golden Girls.
Golden Girls.
Golden Kamui Girls.
Yeah.
Golden Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in it.
Okay.
Estelle Getty.
Yeah.
But, like, about that movie, Stallone said, it's probably one of the worst movies ever made, even in the galaxy, including Alien productions.
That's great.
He has good sense of humor.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember watching an interview that he did, and it was like he talked about how he and Schwarzenegger had a like a
rivalry.
Yeah, and it was just really funny because he was like, you know, I did Rambo, he did Commando, you know. Like...
You know what? Commando's better than any of the Rambo movies. No, but it was
just funny that it was like he was like, I did this, he did this, you know.
Like it's. I remember saying like. Stallone has actually he's won Oscars. Mm-hmm. He's an Oscar-winning writer and director.
Yeah.
You know, and which is I think it's funny because
didn't he win for Creed as well?
Oh yeah, he won Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
He also won I think Best Original Screenplay for Rocky. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean like Schwarzenegger I don't think has been nominated for anything,
which is weird because it's if you're thinking about content then
well I mean it's like he's not a very good actor but he's great at playing the characters that he plays.
I think that's what we have appreciated about him a long time too because not like we watched Rambo and then I bought the DVD I think and like we watched the commentary. Oh yeah. And that was something that I think like really kind of just woke you up a little bit to like his process.
Well, I mean, I didn't really dig Rambo, the movie Rambo, as much until I listened to the commentary when Stallone sort of cuz like it's funny that Stallone is like he's kind of like this cavemanish guy, you know, like looking at him, but he's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's an Oscar-winning screenwriter, you know, he knows film language, you know, and like but I remember the part I really liked is when Rambo makes that fucking machete that he makes in that movie.
Yeah.
And it was like, because that's the only movie where he doesn't use the, like, Bowie knife.
Yeah, I know. And he still hasn't in this one, but
yeah.
it was talking about, like, why the process of creating it and, like, why it's more representative of who he is now.
That he's forging himself.
Mm-hmm.
I really dug that part of that commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Rambo Last Blood.
No, I mean, something else in that commentary, too, was, like, talking about the process of creating that film. You know, he thought it was really important to cover something like Burma just because... nobody really, or people were, but there was nothing really being done about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the sort of more emotional catharsis for a lot of people, that it's like, this is something people don't want to draw attention to, or if they do, they can't really fix it. And so he was talking about the actors who played, like, the generals in that movie, and he was saying, like, these were actual people who were, like, victims of these kinds of genocides. Like, these,
wow, really?
Yeah, they were survivors, and... you know, they had hard times portraying these characters because they didn't want, like, it was important that they do so, but they were like, you know, I think that's why the general doesn't speak, because it's like, it's really hard, it was really hard for them to do that and be like, you know, we're playing these bad guys, you know?
He's just, I mean, he seems just kind of like this, like, god of death.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it is like, it was really cool for him to be, you know, in that creative process and be like, this is what it was like for these people, and this is why it was really important. And I think in line with this last one, that it's like, cartel is something that people can't really seem to do much about.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it makes us feel better that he can just, like, trap them in a tunnel and, like, fucking kill all of them.
I want to get to the insane tunnel thing at the end, but,
Yeah.
like, it's weird to me because I was looking up reviews for this, and, like, a lot of things I saw was like, this is a Trumpian fantasy. All the Mexican villains getting killed by the white hero.
Oh, God.
And it's like, I mean, that is objectively true.
Yeah.
He is a white guy killing a bunch of Mexican guys, but, like, at the same time, though...
But he's German and Native American. Rambo is German and Native American.
No, he's a white guy. Something.
No, he's not.
He's German. That cancels out Native American.
No, it doesn't.
Wait, do you mean...
John Rambo
okay,
is
but not
German and Native
Stallone.
American. I don't know.
Okay, but I mean...
Stallone is Italian, I assume.
But, I mean, like, but the cartel is a real thing that does stuff like this.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with it, you know? It's...
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when Resident Evil 5 came out and that game set in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why are there a lot of black people that you're fighting? It's like, well, be weird if you weren't.
Well,
right?
I mean, I think it has to, because your options are really limited if he's in the States, you know? It's like, you have to think about where he said that, he said his family was in Arizona, I think, you know?
Uh-huh.
I thought he said Colorado, but I think that was just the other people who were in Rambo. But, you know, it's like, who can he fight then?
The sheriff again?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that, and then I was like, you know, but then that leads to the bigger problem of, like, what happened in the first one, which is, like, he could be arrested and then sent to prison.
Oh, I never even thought about
he's
that.
Technically, like, he's not wanted anymore, but he, you know, he certainly could be arrested again.
Yeah. I guess his conviction was, like, expunged.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Okay, yeah.
But, you know, you have to think about it. It's like, then you just open up this whole thing of, like, he's not wanted, there's no warrant out for him, but there's certainly that track record of, like, oh, he caused a lot of problems before.
Yeah.
He could go to prison. We don't want him to go to prison, so who could he fight? You know, who's the cartel? You know, it has to be something that, like, collectively, people will be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember when I read about that, and I was like, that's a cool villain, because it's kind of like, home, like, backyard kind of villain.
Yeah.
That is, like, a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, that I can't imagine anyone being upset about watching him kill them.
I mean, it kind of offends me that they would say Trumpian, because Stallone is not that kind of dude.
Yeah, I mean, I know. It's...
Yeah. I'll be like, okay, don't put that name to this.
I mean, they also make that point to show the wall, too.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I don't really know why.
I know, and I mean, it's just funny, too, because it's like, there are things you don't really think about that it's like, it's really easy for Gabrielle to go into Mexico, and Rambo, it's pretty easy for him to go in, but then when he comes out with her, they don't go through the crossing. They go over the barbed wire.
Oh.
Because it would look suspicious if he just had this girl who's, like, dying in his truck, to go back through.
I didn't think about that, why he did that.
Yeah. Plus, I think it might have been faster.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe he went the same way when he had the severed head in that car then.
Probably. Yeah. Unless he just had it in the cooler or something. It was like, well, time to open it up.
So anyway,
yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
I want to get to the third act of this movie.
Yeah.
Where he sets up his, all the traps.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean... He had some C4 bricks. Where did he get those?
He never got rid of them.
It's like,
you know,
the tunnels,
mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so early in the movie, they point out that Rambo, for whatever reason, has been building these tunnels underneath the ranch all these years, and there's no explanation for it. Like, Gabrielle says she told her friends, like, that my uncle's weird and he's crazy and he likes doing these things, and he was like, yeah, that works.
I mean, we see him maintaining them pretty meticulously too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not upset at like the existence of the tunnels. Just the way they function is eldritch and unknowable.
You're like, I'm not mad, Rambo, I'm disappointed.
I'm angry but mostly confused, you know.
Yeah.
Like, because there is one entrance to
mm-hmm.
the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
But they just spiderweb forever.
I think there's more than one entrance.
And maybe at most there were two entrances.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the editing in the tunnel scenes makes no sense.
Huh. I liked it.
I mean,
it reminded me of the older Rambo movies.
Well, I mean, think about it like this. Like, the guys like all spread out. You know,
mm-hmm.
Jon Snow's like leading. Like, his team is the last one to get killed because he's the last guy who dies.
Yeah.
You know. So then all those guys are going off, and they're all getting killed by these traps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did Rambo know that he would go the one way that didn't have any traps, you know, that would kill him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the hundreds of spike pits that he had in the tunnels.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It makes no sense. It was like, I wish there had been a hall of mirrors in the tunnels.
You know what it kind of reminded me of, though? I don't know if you remember Punisher Season 2 that well.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a scene where one of the soldiers who comes back from war, obviously he's having a hard time, like, reintegrating into society. And, like, part of his PTSD is that he like, digs a trench in his backyard, and then he puts a tarp over it, and he's, like, it's, like, more home to him than sleeping in his parents' house.
Yeah.
And, like, part of me wonders then if that's maybe something that Rambo is thinking about, because it's, like, not only can he, like, forge weapons down there, we're seeing different flashbacks of, like, the war for him still.
Yeah.
And his existence really is, like, maintaining these tunnels and breaking in horses. So he's, like, working with animals, and he doesn't really interact with more than two people in his everyday life. So it's, like, I wonder then if it's a source of comfort.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking. It's like, he's probably lived in tunnels a lot.
Yeah. Well, plus it's, like, it makes sense for it to be there, too, because Gabrielle had spent a lot of time there, like, riding horses with him, and she had a drawing of a horse in the tunnels,
mm-hmm.
and it's, like, I mean, tactically, obviously, use the tunnels.
Oh,
I loved the tunnels, because I was, like, anytime anybody goes in a tunnel in a Rambo movie, they do not come out. I was like, get it!
I feel like there was kind of a missed opportunity with the tunnels. Because there was only one important room in the tunnels, and during this scene we never saw it, which is the forge room.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for certain that's where where Rambo would kill Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Is that they would end up in the forge room, and why do I keep calling him John? Rambo would shove his head into the furnace or something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, okay, so let's talk about then, like, what happens. He kills all of the dudes, and
he didn't even really do it.
No, and the great thing about seeing it was, like, surely he doesn't have more dudes. Oh, wait, there's two more. Okay, they're dead. And I was like, how many people did he bring with him?
I want to go back and look at how many guys there were.
I want to say we're like 20.
I'm pretty sure, like, by the halfway point of this battle, 20 guys had been killed.
Yeah. No, I was like, I loved it that the bomb set off killed like one car of dudes, and it was like, was that just 4 dudes in one car?
That's pretty good.
I don't know though. I was like, that should have stopped at least 3 cars.
It's weird because these guys are the most organized group
for real
that Rambo's ever fought.
They come in like tactical gear too.
Yeah.
Jon Snow did at least.
They were like commandos.
He had his tactical ponytail.
They get fucking shredded though.
Yeah.
It was like,
yes.
They stood no chance.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's like, yeah, you're just looking. You're seeing him set up all the weapons and stuff, and you're like, this is what he does. You're like, this is Rambo. Yeah.
And then like, okay, I'm hoping the one thing we can agree on, the way he kills Jon Snow is really stupid.
Yeah, kind of.
That when he says like, I'm gonna cut your heart out, you know, and then he like pins him to a wall with arrows and calmly walks up to him, cuts his chest open and pulls out his heart.
I don't know, Tyson, if there were arrows in you, would you feel that, like, would you reach for your gun?
He was holding his gun. He could have raised his arm.
I know. He couldn't have, though.
Well, I mean, it's just like, this is Mortal Kombat kind of stuff.
It was just great, though, because it was like, when is he going to use his bow? Oh, now he's going to use his bow.
Well, I mean, but, like, I think the only, like, scene in anything where somebody has their heart pulled out is that one scene in Temple of Doom. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, it looks so tacky. Like, it looks so not real anytime anyone does it.
Yeah.
Because, like, it is fucking hard to do that.
I know, for real, though, I'm not even thinking about, I was, like, really glad that Rambo survived and that he's okay, but I was like, what is he gonna do?
I wanted him to die.
When people are like, okay, we heard explosions, like, a few miles away. Let's go investigate. And they find, like, this guy with his chest open.
Yeah.
All of these dead bodies. The land itself has been blown to smithereens in certain areas to track the tunnels.
There are trenches on the
ground. And he's just, like, riding off into the distance, so you're like, okay, this is fine then. Because, like, he got shot in similar places he's been shot before, except it was, like, the other side. In, like, the third one, he got shot in his right side, and in this one it was his left side.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he's walked these off before. He's fine.
I mean, I was kind of hoping he'd sit down on the chair and, like, rock, and then he would just stop rocking.
Yeah.
And that would be the end.
I don't know. I didn't want him to die. but it's this sort of heartbreaking thing about his character that it's like, but what does he have left? You know? He doesn't have anything left.
So he should have died.
Oh yeah.
It seems cruel to make him keep living.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would say maybe if Gabrielle lived, there'd be a reason.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional screenwriter.
I know.
Maybe if she had been alive, there'd be a good reason to defend the farm. Yeah. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
It's very in line with other Rambo movies. And it's in line with his character, so I appreciate it for that reason. Going into it, though, I was like, I know this isn't gonna, like, blow my mind. I don't watch the movies because they're gonna blow my mind. But I just like the little features about Stallone's characters. You know, that, like, I always like Rocky because of the just the way the things that happen to him are really realistic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, sure.
No, what I mean is, like, because I said before, I think Rocky is a good example of people not understanding how to handle wealth. That it's like, it happens to him, you know, they trust the wrong person, which can happen to a lot of people, and then, you know, he ends up back where he started, which is not always ideal, but he's always humble, and he's always been a nice guy.
Yeah. The
same is true with Rambo, that, like, he came back, and he was really broken that all of his friends were dead, and he finds himself, you know, you know, protecting the innocent, and he does that still. Yeah,
I mean, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just like, it's a lot more believable in the first movie.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah.
I think this is an okay note to go out on, though. Like, the last one really should have been the last one, but...
I mean, the idea that there's gonna be one after this is insane.
There isn't.
I mean, Stallone said he's up for it.
Oh my god.
Which I mean, the Rambo movies already have the worst naming convention in the history of movies.
But they're known for that, which makes it that much better.
If there is a movie after Rambo Last Blood...
Yeah. It has to be Last Blood Part
At least the Friday the 13th movies have numbers in them.
You know what, though? At least he's not pulling some Clint Eastwood shit and, like, throwing threesomes in there for no reason. At least he's like, this is what Rambo is. I'm gonna do what Rambo does.
That would have been funny.
No!
It's certainly something...
At least he's consistent with, like, not just throwing random shit in there because he's getting older.
I mean, another missed opportunity, I think, in this movie is when, like, Rambo has those flashbacks and stuff. Mm-hmm. It just stops halfway through.
Yeah.
I was like, that would be cool if if they add in this layer of, like, ooh, is this real? Mm-hmm. But... yeah. Not really. This movie was 90 minutes and it felt like it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't dislike it.
I didn't like it, but I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
I will never have a hankering to watch Rambo Last Blood.
I may because I have the other ones and I don't want to.
When we left the theater, we both agreed that this was the worst one.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I know. I mean, it was funny going into it because it was like, "Is this good?" I haven't heard anything, and I was like, "My mom liked it." I'm like, but that's not really saying anything else.
That means nothing.
Yeah, that means yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I appreciate Stallone. I've always loved the Rambo movies. I don't go into them for, like, the deep content.
I'm not saying there has to be.
Yeah.
It's just, like, I would also like a good action movie, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which, this was such a middle-of-the-road action movie.
That's okay.
No, it isn't.
That's okay.
No.
Hey, cut him some credit. He's, like, 70-something.
So what?
Ugh.
Movie magic.
That's okay.
The stuff they can do with 70-year-old actors now is way more than they could do back in the day, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love him.
I know, I don't not love him.
Yeah.
Anyway. If you like this video, give it a like, maybe comment or subscribe, you know?
Yeah.
I guess, like, next week we'll be starting our Halloween, ones, right?
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to think of something.
We'll have to confer.
The council will need to meet.
Yeah.
To discuss what to do for Halloween.
I will write out the list. Fuzz will lay on
it. I guess thank you for joining us for season 2 of TLC.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.